Hello and welcome to News Review. I'm joined by Georgina on the other side of London. Hi, Georgina.
Hi everybody, lovely to see you all.
What story have you got for us?
Well, today we've got a story about a plan which will hopefully allow music festivals to get going in the future.
Okay, well, a potential good news story then for music lovers. Let's find out some more from this BBC Radio 1 news beat.
The man behind Wireless in Reading and Leeds has told Newsbeat he's got a plan to get festivals back to full capacity next year. Melvin Benn says customers could get regularly tested before an event to prove they haven't got coronavirus.
I know that I can deliver that because of the incentive that's at the end of that test, i.e. to go and watch a concert or a football match or go to a festival. There's a lot of organisation, but it's really, really doable.
But for his plan to go ahead, government guidelines would have to change as most people can only get an NHS test if they're already showing symptoms.
So Melvin Benn, Managing Director of Festival Republic, has come up with a plan which will hopefully allow music festivals and other events to go ahead in the future. Now, there are a few things that need to be sorted out because each person attending will need to have a coronavirus test and prove that that it is negative, and then they will be allowed to attend. But some interesting ideas, Neil.
Yes, some very interesting ideas. Hopefully they can make it work. You've been looking at this story and you've picked out 3 words and expressions which are useful. What have you got?
I've got getting going, unveils and drafts.
Getting going, unveils and drafts. So let's have your first headline with that expression, getting going.
So the first headline is from the BBC News website, and the headline is, Coronavirus, is this a way of getting festivals going again?
Getting going. Starting something, often after a delay.
Yes, and it's spelled Getting, new word Going.
Okay, well, I know these 2 words. I know getting and I know going. But when you put them together in this context, they've got a kind of special meaning, haven't they?
They do. So in the context of the headline, it gives the impression that the music festivals have been stopped for the time being because of something. And in this case, it is the coronavirus pandemic, but that hopefully they will be able to start again in the future. And that's what getting going means. So hopefully they will be able to get going again in the future.
Okay, and we use this expression, get going, when we want to resume something. Now that's a word we used in a previous episode of News Review, meaning to get something started again.
Exactly. So for example, Neil, before the pandemic, did you ever go on any long journeys?
I used to go to visit friends and relatives, go on a long car journey, yes, and often you have to stop at a service station to get petrol, maybe a coffee, a little rest or something. And you might, after a while, think, oh, this is nice. I don't really like driving. It's nicer to sit here drinking coffee. And then whoever you're with said, come on, we need to get going. We need to get going. It means start again.
Exactly. So we need to get going. Come on, everybody. And I think you're going to hear this expression a lot over the next couple of months. So another example might be sporting events hope to get going by next year. So I think it's a really useful expression to get familiar with and start using.
Absolutely. Let's have a summary. Time now for our second headline, please, Georgina.
Yeah, so the second headline is from IQ online website, and it is FR Boss unveils plan to restart industry at full capacity.
Unveils. Introduces something for the first time.
So it's spelled Unveils, and unveils is made up of 2 parts. So the first part is and that means not, and I think a lot of people will be familiar with that. The second part is veils, And that is means, for example, if you get married, some people sometimes wear a veil over their face, and then once they're married, they are unveiled. Interestingly, this verb to unveil can be used to talk about something physical, which is unveiled, but also something which is not physical, so it's more figurative. So let's have a look at how it can be used when we're talking about something physical that is removed. Neil, have you been to any openings of buildings?
Yeah, well, I think if you go to any famous building, or often, there'll be a plaque on the wall outside which will give details about when the building was built and who opened it. Now, at the ceremony, there might be a little curtain over that plaque, a curtain or veil, and a famous or important person will pull a string and the curtain or veil will open. It will be unveiled, literally unveiled, and the building will be opened and people can see it for the first time.
Yeah, exactly. That's a really good example. So the curtain acts as the veil to cover the plaque, and then when the building is opened, the veil is removed, the curtain is removed to unveil this plaque to commemorate the building opening. So if we're going to use it in a more figurative sense, you could think about, say, you have a new boss at work and they unveil their plans for the company. So in this context, the veil is not physical, it is figurative, and it simply means that it's the first time that these ideas have been shared to a wider audience.
Okay, so we're not talking about the boss standing there with a little curtain and opening the curtain and the plans are behind it.
No, in this context, it's not physical, because what would happen is the boss or the person would come into the room and they would say, right, I'm going to tell you my new plans. And when they start to say the new plans, they are unveiling the new plans for the company.
Okay, well, let us now unveil the summary. If you like stories about music festivals, we have another one, don't we, Georgina?
We do, we certainly do. It is a news review episode that we put out all about the effect of coronavirus on music festivals. So click on the link below to have a look.
Absolutely. Okay, your next headline, please.
The next headline is from EDM, which stands for Electronic Dance Music, and it is an online news website for music. And the headline is Live Nation's Festival Republic drafts full capacity plan to get live music up and running by November in the UK.
Drafts. Creates the first version of something.
Yes, and it's spelt DRAFTS. In this context, it's being used as a verb, and often when it's used as a verb, it's used in more formal situations. So, for example, to talk about a business or a group of people who are in authority. So maybe they might say the president drafted his new plans for the country. But it can also be used as a noun. And in this context, it's not quite as formal. So we've all studied, haven't we, Neil?
We have. I can remember just about.
Yeah, me too. A slightly painful memory. But when I was studying, I handed in my first draft of my dissertation to my professor. So in that context, it's just talking about giving my dissertation or essay, however, dissertation is a longer essay, into the professor for them to have a look at it. Now, this was not my final draft. This was the draft for him to look at, or her, to give feedback on, for me to then make revisions, to then probably give in a second draft. Often there could be many, many, many different drafts until you get to the final draft that you are 100% happy with. And that's a bit like when we prepare for this show. So when we prepare for this show, we do a first draft script, then we have a practice, and then we do a second draft, and then when we're finally happy, this is what you get.
So what you're watching is the final draft?
It is indeed, yes.
Okay, well, let's have a summary of that. Time now then for a recap of the vocabulary, please, Georgina.
Yes, so the first phrase we looked at was getting going, and that means starting something often after a delay. The next one was unveils, and that means introduces something for the first time. And the final one we looked at today was drafts, and that means creates the first version of something.
I bet you would like to test yourself on this vocabulary, in which case go to our website, bbclearningenglish.com. You can find a quiz there. Thanks for joining us, stay safe, and goodbye.
Yeah, bye from me too. Bye.